Today we're taking a look at this new 2-bay NAS by Beelink called the ME Pro. It's smaller than most mini PCs, it has 5GB networking, 3 NVMe slots and a slide-out upgradable motherboard, so it's got quite a few unique features. We'll take a look at the hardware, both on the outside and internally, then load it up with drives and run some tests on it, so that by the end of the video you'll know whether this little box deserves to be trusted with your data. In the box we've got a user manual, the ME Pro and a box of accessories. The accessories include a 120 watt power brick, a network cable, an HDMI cable and 2 packs of screws for the drive bays to suit 3.5 inch and 2.5 inch drives. Then we've got the ME Pro itself with foam inserts and a plastic wrap. First impressions are that this thing is tiny. It measures just 166 by 121 by 112 mm, so it's significantly smaller than most traditional 2-bay NAS units. This comes with some benefits, but also with a few drawbacks that we'll take a look at. It's an all-metal unibody design, so it's solid and heavy for its size, coming in at 1.5 kg empty. It feels more like a premium mini PC rather than a NAS. Taking a look at the ports and interfaces, on the front we've got reset and clear CMOS holes to access those buttons, then a USB 3.2 Type A port, and then the power button. The front looks like it's made to resemble a Marshall amp, with its clean retro minimalist look. The two sides and the top don't have any ports on them. Then at the back we've got a barrel jack power input for the 120 watt power supply, 2 Ethernet ports, a 5GB port using a Realtek RTL 8126 chip, and then a 2.5GB port using an Intel i226V chip. Then there's an HDMI port that'll do 4K 60Hz, 2 USB 2.0 ports, a USB 3.2 Type-C port, and a headphone jack. Above these are the ventilation holes for the integrated cooler. So as shown with the accessories, this NAS requires an external power brick, unlike some of their more recent NAS and PC models which have an integrated power supply. At the bottom we've got a little storage bay for the hex key for the trays and covers, which is kinda cool and useful. With these interfaces you can really see that this isn't just a NAS, it's designed to be a small home server platform. Behind this magnetic removable grille we've got two 3.5 inch drive bays. Each bay uses screws rather than toolless clips, which is a bit different in design to most modern NAS products. Beelink say that they've gone with this approach to reduce operating noise since it's made to be used in your home and potentially on your desktop. They've used dual-sided silicon plugs and screws so that the drives are held more securely, and thermal pads conduct heat away from the drive PCB onto the NAS chassis. This is the first time I've seen a thermal pad for a drive's PCB used in a NAS. The trays also have holes to mount 2.5 inch SATA SSDs if you'd like to. So this NAS is better suited to users who intend to install drives and forget about them for a long time, which to be fair is probably most users, especially on a 2-bay. I've had my main NAS set up for 3.5 years now and I've never removed a drive from it. Beneath the drives we've got the motherboard, which again has some unique features. We can undo a couple of hex screws on the back and the bottom, and then the whole board slides out on a separate tray, giving access to the cooler, CPU and NVMe slots. This makes it easy to clean and service the NAS, and also easy to upgrade. It looks like it interfaces with the backplane for the drives and Wi-Fi module with a PCIe style connector. Beelink have advertised that they have some other options in the works, including an AMD version and an ARM version, which is really interesting to see. I can't think of any other NAS solution that offers this level of modularity. This version has an Intel Twin Lake N95 CPU with 12GB of RAM and 128GB of storage. The N95 CPU has 4 cores running at up to 3.4 GHz. The 12GB of RAM is LPDDR5 running at 4800 MHz, and it's soldered on, so it's not upgradable. The 128GB of storage for the operating system is in the form of an NVMe SSD. In addition to the 2 wired network connections, it's also got Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.4. For storage, at the bottom of the tray we've got 3 M.2 NVMe drive bays, each supporting up to 4 TB. 2 of these are available for storage after the OS drive is installed. The OS slot is PCIe 3.0 by 2, and the two storage drives are 3.0 by 1. Then there are two SATA bays above the board, each supporting up to 30 terabytes. So in total you can install up to 72 terabytes of storage. Beelink always seem to put effort into their cooling design, and this NAS is no different. Instead of relying on a single rear fan like most NAS units do, this one's got a single internal blower type fan. This pushes air through a copper heat pipe cooler, and the aluminium body of the NAS is also designed to be a large heatsink. Heat is conducted away from the drives using the thermal pads to the tray and body, and the blower fan provides central cooling by drawing air in around the drives and exhausting it through the cooler and out the back of the case. I'll test how well this solution performs a bit later on in the video. So let's get some drives installed in it and do some testing. Since I'd like to test thermal performance, I'm going to load it up with two full-size 3.5-inch mechanical NAS drives, and I'll fill the NVMe bays with drives too. I'm using 4TB WD Red NAS drives for the mechanical storage, and 2TB Crucial P3 Plus drives for the NVMe storage. If I thought it felt solid before, it is now a real brick. It weighs in at 2.6 kilos, and it's really rigid because of the screw-in drive bays and the all-metal chassis design. Out of the box, the ME Pro ships with Windows 11, which is what I'm going to be testing it with. It's not OS locked, so you can easily install your own NAS-specific OS like TrueNAS or Unraid, or even something like Proxmox as your personal home server. For testing, I'm going to take a look at performance, thermals, noise, network throughput and power draw. First up, I tested the drive performance reading and writing a file to each drive without caching. On the two SATA drives, I got writes of around 150 megabytes per second and reads of just under 200, both drives getting very similar results. On the storage NVMe drives, I got reads and writes of a little under 800 megabytes per second, again both very similar. The OS NAS NVMe drive runs a bit faster, getting over 1000 megabytes per second writes and a little under 1500 reads. This is while running the operating system, and it's because it's got that extra PCIe lane to use. These results are right on what we'd expect from the available lanes, so the drives aren't thermal throttling, and the controller and PCIe routing doesn't seem to have any issues. Next I tested the CPU. Geekbench 6 gives a CPU score of 1051 single core and 2935 multi-core. This is a low power CPU, so we're not expecting it to win any awards. The results are roughly comparable to something like a Celeron J4125 or N5105, commonly used in entry-level Synology or QNAP devices. But this one's probably a bit more power efficient. To test thermals, I ran Firmark for 30 minutes and I had the drives under a constant read and write load. The CPU started out at 34 degrees and the idle drives around 28 to 30 degrees. After the 30-minute test, the CPU was still comfortably cool at only 50 degrees, and the drives had gone up to 32 to 35 degrees. So the single blower fan cooling solution on this NAS is really effective. Speaking of the fan, in terms of noise level, it runs consistently under 32 decibels with the CPU fully loaded or at idle. This is basically the lowest ambient sound level in my workshop, and it's near silent. With the mechanical drives being written to, you do get an odd spike up to 33 decibels, but that's also quite near being silent, and not something you'd find distracting. Beelink have done really well at isolating noise on this unit. It's by far the quietest NAS I've used that has mechanical drives in it. Next up I tested network performance using iPerf3 both on the 5GB and 2.5GB ports. iPerf3 tests the network connection itself, so it eliminates drive speed from the equation. On the 5GB network port, I got throughputs in the range of 550 to 560 megabytes per second, which is around where it should be. Similarly for the 2.5GB port, I got 280 megabytes per second, which again is around where it should be. So both NICs are capable at running at their rated speeds. Some low power mini PCs struggle to saturate a 5GB network connection, but the N95 has no trouble doing so. In real world terms, the two mechanical drives would top out before the network does on the 2.5GB port, so the 5GB port is only really going to be useful for your NVMe storage, or for serving multiple clients at once. Finally, I tested power consumption. At idle and with no drives installed, the system draws about 16 watts. With all drives installed and spun up, but not under a write load, idle power increases to 22 watts. And under a full CPU and GPU load, as well as actively writing to one drive, power draw increases to 44 watts. Even at the top end, this is really good for the networking and drive performance that this NAS can deliver. This also makes it a great option for those in areas where power is expensive, since it's going to be running 24/7. Pricing's pretty good. I think the lower end models are really good value for money, starting at $369 for the base N95 version with 12 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of OS storage. This increases to $479 for the same version with 1 TB of storage. The N150 versions do go up a bit, so I'd probably only look at these models if you're really going to be using the increase in CPU and RAM. These top out at $559 for the version with 16 gigs of RAM and a 1 TB OS drive. So if you're looking for a compact NAS or home server that offers multi-gig networking, NVMe storage, and good power efficiency, then the ME Pro delivers exactly that. It's not trying to replace a high-end mini PC or NAS, but as a storage-focused home system, it's well balanced and it does what it says on the product page. You get a solid set of ports and features, performance that matches the hardware, and with Beelink already working on additional motherboard options, the platform also looks like it could become quite modular over time. As always, if you've got any questions or want to see any specific workloads tested, let me know in the comment section below and I'll add them to my blog. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more tech and electronics projects, tutorials and reviews.